Sheila Badon grew up in a home with an abusive father. She survived not one, but two abusive marriages. But all that has changed. She now devotes herself to helping other victims of domestic violence by giving presentations all over the Bay Area. Tell me about these presentations.
Well, I'm a volunteer community educator with the Support Network for Battered Women in Sunnyvale. And what I do is go to wherever the need is, whoever asks, and talk about domestic violence. On different levels, there's sometimes we talk about what it is and we do a presentation, or I'll do a presentation solely on the issue of domestic violence. And other times I talk about my story and what happened to me. But we try to focus on the issues of domestic violence.
What is your story?
Well, I grew up in a household where domestic violence was present, and it was normal. You know, we were brought up to look at that as, oh, this is what everybody does. So as an adult and starting relationships, I sought out men that were exactly like my father. My first husband was very abusive, and he was very controlling, but for a long time, almost 2 years, he didn't hit me. So I thought, well, as long as he doesn't hit me, that's okay. But then he did hit me, and when he did, I was incapacitated, you know, so I had to quit my job. I had a job. I had to quit.
Well, physically, what's the worst that happened to you?
Oh, the second time he hit me so many times in my face that he broke my jaw and my teeth fell out of my mouth hole from the root. They just fell out. He dislocated my shoulder. He kicked me and broke ribs, and I was hospitalized. I had to be hospitalized, and in front of my daughter. You know, he did this in front of my child. And in the back of my mind, it was like, I've got to get out of here, because there was no way that he was going to do that to me again. And I didn't quite make it, because he did it again. And this time it was worse than the first time. So.
But you did get out.
I did get out. I did leave.
And it was interesting to me when we were speaking before that you didn't see yourself as a victim for a long time, and that the turning point seems to have been suddenly realizing you were a victim.
Yes.
That surprised me. Tell me about that.
For a long time, I thought it was all my fault, even after the second marriage failed, for the same reason, and I moved out. I thought it was all my fault. I must be doing something to provoke this, because certainly it can't happen one right after the other in two marriages back to back. It had to be my fault. And I walked around for years thinking it was all my fault. I have to change who I am. I have to be more submissive. I have to look down more often and not make eye contact. So I looked at all the things that I felt caused the abuse and said, what about this can I change? So that I could change myself to fit into the mold that they were trying to make me fit into, you know. So I fell into that place for a long time, blaming myself for everything, until I heard someone else speak about domestic violence. You know, all this time, no one else had talked about it. I didn't bring it up, and when I brought it out, even with friends, my friends said, "Oh, we don't want to hear about that." You know.
So what was it that you learned that you now give to others?
I heard this woman speak about domestic violence, and I sat there listening to her, and I was like, oh my God, this is me. But I waited till after her talk was over, and I approached her and said, you know, I'm also a former victim. What can I do to volunteer? And I went through this training, and it was like, oh my God, it was not my fault.
So the big thing was, it was not my fault.
It was not my fault,
yeah.
You know, that they chose to do this, that this is what it was about, and this is why they did it. And it was just like an awakening that was just so profound that I thought if it happened to me that way, that it happens to a lot of other people, and other people need to know about this.